our surprise Oscar nominee this year, or maybe it wasn't a surprise because we had the Dream Team, which maybe was my favorite nominee, was Phantom Thread.
You can sew almost anything into the canvas of a coat.
Here's my problem. I focus more on story, and this is maybe another one I have to see again. But I just could not get into that relationship. I think I've seen too many relationships like that, and I just don't like when a couple starts playing psychological games against each other, and then they start competing, and that's exactly what happened. And yet I could see the beauty of it. It was flat for me because of the story.
Maybe one day you'll change your taste, Alma.
Maybe not.
Maybe you have no taste.
The reason you hated it, there was the reason I really liked it. Well, which is, and again, it's a different film for everyone. Which is, it really
is. That's for sure.
Yeah, it goes into the complicities and the nuances of being in a relationship, where everyone's sort of little idiosyncrasies will drive you insane.
Right.
I know when I'm editing footage or when I'm writing, maybe when you're writing, maybe like when you're editing your podcast, if someone's just in the same room and they just like put a glass down like that, it's just like, you know.
I'm taking it out.
Yeah, but it's a bit late now, isn't it?
But I'm taking it out.
The tea is going out. The interruption is staying right here with me.
Oh my God, Johnny Greenwood score. I was listening to it.
It was magnificent.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's one thing that could beat the Dunkirk score, it's this score.
It better.
It should.
Yeah.
It should. I agree.
I mean, Hans already has his Oscar for Gladiator.
That's true.
And the Oscar goes to Hans Zimmer for The Lion King.
When you get to that third act, it becomes a P.T. Anderson film. And either you're going to be on board with it or you're not. Because have you seen it?
Here's the thing. No, I have not. And I didn't rush out to see it because I was not a fan of Inherent Vice and I was not a fan of The Master at all.
See, that's two recommendations you were correct on.
But when you say a P.T. Anderson film, to me that means two different things. There's like pre-The Master, pre-Inherent Vice, where he's kind of doing this Terrence Malick redo kind of a deal, whereas his earlier stuff, I used to be a really big Paul Thomas Anderson fan, and now it's really kind of a gamble. Like, I don't know if I want to get off the couch to go see this, but you know.
That's what I love about him. You don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If it goes south, you're there for 3 hours.
Rocks covered in moss. Fields running around, barbed wire.
You're just describing my experience at Phantom Thread.
Exactly.
So.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was into it, but I can definitely see why people wouldn't be.
Yeah.
And it's a film that I think that's what makes a great film. Like, you could be split on it. Case in point, Mother. Either people are going to think you're the best picture of the year, or you're going to be a Razzie. Yeah.
Whatever you do it carefully.
You guys got to help me with this one. Did you guys see Call Me By Your Name?
Yes, I did.
Why does everybody love this film? I know I'm wrong.
Professor Perlman. Oh, thank you so much. So nice.
Très confiant.
Here's the weird, prudish, almost meta concern that I have with it. I miss the part where they say how old Timothée Chalamet's character is. I think he is 17, and at some point people have told me they say he's 17, but I missed it. And I'm like, there's such a physical-looking age difference between his character and Armie Hammer that I'm like, is it okay that they're doing this?
Yeah.
And then when they get into their relationship, I guess that was sort of the point or the style of the film to show how clumsy lovemaking can be between two people or the relationship. My wife and I, I'm sorry, we were laughing at parts of it, and we felt kind of bad. We're like, this isn't supposed to be funny, but...
Basically, he applies the fruit in a place of his body that we will not name, and he...
The movie left me cold, and I know it's getting a lot of praise, and I know the film I'm about to reference did not get a lot of praise, but I felt that the same themes were executed much more efficiently with, I think, a longer runtime, and blue is the warmest color from a few years ago.
Yeah. Wow,
it's the exact same film.
That's really
Except in, I think,
Except
Paris.
blue is the warmest color, like, had conflict.
I think I slightly liked it a little better than you. I did love the scene with Michael Stolberg where he
that was a great scene.
He creates a safe space for his son. And I did like the fact too that he eventually did get engaged, because it was a time where people were on the down low still. You know, a lot of guys in my generation remained closeted, got married, had kids, and then, you know, when everything loosened up, they got divorced and lived with their, you know, down low lover. But I didn't buy Hammer as much as that character, and Timothy just had to be, you know, the innocent. So he was able to handle that fairly well.
I thought he was much better in Lady Bird, honestly.
I like the ending. It did sag in the front. It sagged in the front.
Yeah.
There is a lot of just extemporaneous BS in this movie. And I mean, a good run through the editing machine probably would have made it a little more
I think
tighter.
So. I think that's
will.
what.
No pun intended.
Oh.
I think that was the problem with me with this film.
One of the more Philistine of the Farnese popes melted them down and had them recast as a particularly voluptuous Venus.
I felt like where the ending was beautiful, I wish that was sort of the film, because I felt like there needed to be some sort of conflict. Not, oh my God, he's this young, how could you do that sort of conflict? But more of like, he's in love, but now Armie Hammer's with this woman, and he has to accept the fact that he was just sort of this part of his life. And I wish that was more of the film rather than these two wistfully loving each other. And that's what we have to see. I want to see it again to understand it.
Call me by your name and I'll call you by mine.
Last film, at least, is The Darkest Hour, where I liked it. It was pure Oscar bait.
It was Oscar bait.
Yeah. And I don't know, it was exactly what I expected when I walked in.
We must now select my successor, and it's only one man the opposition will accept.
He stands for one thing, and one thing only, himself.
It plays all the familiar beats. It's about a leader facing self-doubt. There's rousing speeches. Everything's just straight off my phone. Yes, I am. There's old man in makeup and fat suits. You know, there's prestigious Englishmen. This is the King's Speech of this year. You know, there's the wife who's our protagonist, sort of rock. And then there's a closing, what happened to everybody afterwards in the title, and of course our protagonist is proven correct and is victorious.
Whenever I think of the King's Speech, I think of that scene.
Feel the looseness of the jaw.
I just want to see the...
I can only do it one shit at a time.
I am sealed in the privy, and I can only deal with one shit at a time.
I thought it had some really good scenes in it, but overall it was like you said, it was the prestigious British film.
The Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister.
The scene in the tube is the whole movie for me.
Yeah.
You know, when it was almost a fantasy sequence where, you know, Churchill is going to ride the tube to his greatest speech, and he's going to, you know, mix with a diverse British crowd. You know, it was like, you know, it was almost like a fantasy sequence.
Yeah.
But I happened to see the movie Churchill earlier in the year with Brian Cox, and to me, that was the more interesting story.
You must remember, Ike, we fought the Germans in France before. Even if you break through in Normandy, even with the massive casualties, civilian and military, what will our boys face in France?
I mean, you do get the conflict that Churchill's going through.
Nothing inglorious in trying to shorten a war that we are clearly losing.
Losing! Europe is still...
Europe is lost.
And it's a crowd pleaser. I'd say that. It's a movie you can take your grandma to.
For without victory, there can be no survival.
All right, so thank you so much, Pat McDonald.
I want to see that scene.
Thank you, Ian
Simmons.
Simmons. It was Simmons. I was gonna say Simmons.
Hey, call me by my name.
Oh!
Sorry.
All right. Who's got a peach? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so
All
much.
right.
And that's a wrap. We'll see you at the Oscars.
Really? We're going?